welcome to the Alaska Realtor livestream. My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm an associate real estate broker in the state of Alaska, and my mission is to help you build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching you in real estate. And today, we're very lucky to be joined by a couple of friends of mine, Mike and Kerry. They recently moved up from California. They're going to be talking about their experience of living up here and what they think about Alaska so far, and really all that goes into kind of making that move up here. Before we get started, though, as always, just a little housekeeping. These live streams are only as good as kind of the comments and the feedback we get from you guys. You know, we try to make sure we hit all the highlights for the stuff that's going to be useful for you. But by all means, do feel free to drop those questions and comments in there. And, you know, you've got some subject matter experts in here today about moving to Alaska who have actually done it recently. So if this is something you're thinking about doing, then you definitely want to jump in there and take advantage of that. So Mike and Kerry, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, so let's go ahead and just jump in here real quick. So first question is really what got y'all thinking about moving to Alaska?
Well, for us, I came down with some health issues that kind of sparked the move.
And we're living in the mountains of Arizona, but we could no longer live there because Michael has trouble with elevation.
Right.
So because of that, we went to Phoenix. Hell on earth. But anyways.
Well, not big fans, huh?
Well, we went from a small town, very similar to this. I went from a small town down to a very hot and crowded environment that was just not us. So we, about 6 months into our new house in Phoenix, I came home one day and told my wife, stop unpacking. Stop unpacking. We are not staying. I'm done. And that's exactly what we did. We stopped packing. We were living in chaos for a little while. Of course, then we had to get the house a little bit ready for a sale again.
Right. So did you expect to just move in there and just love it? Or was it something where it's kind of like a move of utility for you guys?
It was partly a move of utility because we needed to get off the mountain. We needed to be closer to doctors. And you know, we looked for something that we thought would be okay for us. We got a pool. We had a nice house. I mean, it wasn't our neighbors. It wasn't
Right.
our house itself. It wasn't the land that we were on. We had about a third of an acre in Phoenix, northern Glendale area. So for that area, that's quite a bit of land.
And it was a nice house. It was a very nice house. The area wasn't terrible, just not what we were used to.
Right.
So what kind of sparked the Alaska thing is a couple of things. And doctors telling me that I kind of needed to be close to sea level.
Right.
And as close to the coast as I dared get, I guess. Wasn't going back to California. Wasn't Oregon and Washington they're beautiful, but they were not
too expensive.
The expense was, a little bit too much for us. And we had discussed Alaska years ago, and we decided we would go on an Alaska cruise. Well, that was just straight out hooked us.
That's how we get most of our people.
Yes.
And we loved the southeastern area there, the
Juneau, Ketchikan. We loved it.
Loved it. It was gorgeous, beautiful. The problem is there's not really any good medical there.
Right. And
not really.
And very few homes for sale. So it was kind of like, we're not getting any younger. Michael's already having issues.
We wanted to be close to decent medical. And the people we asked in Juneau, Ketchikan, Sitka, we asked them about medical. What happens if something happens? And the same thing, everybody said the identical thing is that you either go to Anchorage or Seattle and they fly you. And that's expensive, So anyway, we went on the cruise. We were pretty much hooked. We loved that rainforest area. So we decided to get in touch with Jamin.
And we watched lots of Jamin's videos beforehand.
Yes, we watched a lot of Jamin's videos beforehand. So we got a hold of Jamin and came up here in December was the first trip. We wanted to come up when we knew that would be the area we might have a problem with. So we came up in December. We only stayed a week, but I don't think we even got off the plane. My wife, my son, and my daughter were moving. I mean, they were just dead set on moving. And let's be objective here, you guys. I mean,
like it's gorgeous. We're good. We're all good. It's all good.
Yeah, because that's the thing you don't really think about when you're making that flight into Alaska. Like you're seeing the mountain ranges, you're seeing like that 30,000 foot view, literally. So, I mean, even from up there, it'll get you.
Yeah,
oh, yes.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, we were like going,
so,
okay, we're good.
And yeah, this is it.
So, we landed in here, and like I said, we got in touch with you very quickly. We went and looked at homes prior to pestering you. we kind of
checked out.
We kind of knew the areas, or not necessarily the areas, but what we were looking for in a home. And by driving through those areas, we got a really good idea of what we liked and what we didn't like. And the ones we didn't like, we just didn't bother Jamin with it. We just knew that why bug you? There was a few that we were on the fence with, so we went ahead and looked because we didn't know what to expect with homes in Alaska.
And at that point, we were had not put our house on the market.
Right.
So we were, it was more of a, is this informational? Okay, this
kind of establishing that baseline, what you can expect.
This is a price point. This is what we could get for this price point versus another price point. And then we came back up in March. We basically got our house for sale on the market, got offered, then came up here and
we put a contingent offer on
right.
home. Yeah.
And
they accepted the contingency. We got home and it was a little sweaty for a little while, because come on, we got to sell this house. But, thankfully our agent down there did a pretty good job. They just kind of went after people and they got somebody in that was very good. So,
that we have talked to our neighbors since then, and they said they were good.
They were happy
with they were happy with people that bought.
Like
good.
Right.
That's how you know. You don't want to be the one that sunk the neighborhood. But
yeah.
Right, exactly.
All right. So we do have a question in here from Monica. And so her question is, what's your favorite part about Alaska, and what was the most shocking part about Alaska for you guys so far?
I'll go with the shocking part. It is very interesting to see, coming from the lower 48, the sun traverses the sky, the apparent sun traversing the sky, rather quickly. Up here, it moves very, very slow.
During this time of the year.
Yeah. Well, we're at such a high latitude that, our rotation is not near as much as down on the equator. Anyway, so that was kind of interesting to see that, telling time by the sun movement is very difficult. Very difficult here. So that was a little bit of a shock to me. Not so much of a shock, but Jamin had mentioned it in the video before that Wasilla specifically has sporadically placed businesses. So there's really not a business district, if you will. There is, but there's a little bit more out here. So that was a little bit getting used to. But what I like specifically, the clean air. The water is amazing. Right out of the tap, the water is just absolute. I can't get enough of it. It just tastes so good.
Just straight out of the tap, and don't need like a bunch of treatment or anything to it either.
When we moved to Phoenix, I could smell the chlorine in the water because we had lived up in the mountains in Arizona. We were on well water. And
very clean water as well.
Very clean water. Shola, where we had been living, is very much like Palmer. Now that I've kind of gotten I can see Palmer more. It's very much like Palmer. It has that very small town feel. They're still shopping to some extent. But we're not even inside Wasilla itself. We're a little bit further out, which is nice. We're about 6 miles to get into town, which is like perfect. It's like not too far, not too close. And So for me, the most shocking right now is the fact that the sun never goes down. Because
Yeah.
right
It
now,
started.
It's yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I posted on Facebook all the work I did for like my backyard and setting up like these little lights and everything. 2 months later, I'm finally able to enjoy that around
The
midnight.
lights,
here
yeah,
now.
yeah.
So took me
Yeah.
2 months. I'm finally kind of sort of get to the point where I can enjoy it.
yeah, and
Well,
that to me is the hardest part, getting to
Right.
sleep at the moment right now, because it's our first summer and it's been a little hard getting blackout curtains
invest
and
in drapes. Whew. Blackout curtains and drapes.
red light bulbs, or light bulbs that'll do a sunset thing. That has helped.
Another thing that I find very, very cool is how green it is here.
Mm.
It is extremely green. Now, I know that's going to turn into white in the wintertime, but the vegetation is just, in my eyes, just absolutely gorgeous.
And we hadn't actually gotten a chance to see that plethora of vegetation, because both times we came, there was still snow on the ground. I have
And a lot of
ferns.
Yeah.
I have ferns in my backyard growing
Wild.
wild.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's
I'm
pretty
like,
cool.
yay. So those are things that I really like. Just people are friendly. The just being able to go out and enjoy nature so much more has been a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we've got another quick question from Monica. How does the humidity feel compared to the lower 48? So imagine you guys are.
So the humidity is relatively high here. However, because the temperature is lower, you don't feel hot. A little bit sweaty. I wouldn't say I'm dripping sweat like Atlanta, Georgia would be, the deep south. But with the moderate temperature just into the 70s, it's actually very comfortable.
It is.
Mhm.
And we're coming from a comparison of, let's see, Phoenix just the
There's-
other day was 120, and they've had like almost an entire month of over 110 every day.
Yeah.
And about 5% humidity.
And it's
And they're
brutal.
always, that's always the comeback instantly. Well, it's a dry heat. It's
Uh-huh.
120, man.
Yeah, so's my oven.
my heaven's a dry heat.
Not picking on Phoenix if that's your thing.
Oh, to each their own.
Exactly.
All right, get another question here from Mr. Thomas Fry. What was your first native food you tried? So I'm assuming by native, let's just say like uniquely Alaskan food. How about that?
Geographically.
Geographically, yeah.
Rockfish. I never had rockfish before.
Yeah. We made fish tacos out
Fish
of
tacos.
rockfish.
That your cousin had given us.
Right. And that was amazing. That was
He's not a
truly
fish-
amazing. And I
he's
don't
not
like
a fish person.
I don't dislike it. I like halibut. I don't like the fishy fish.
Yeah.
So rockfish was very good.
And the children and I all love salmon, so we're like in heaven. I mean, we had the best salmon ever we have had. That again we got from his cousin because he had leftovers from the year before, and it was just great and wonderful. We haven't had the reindeer sausage or anything. Oh wait, we did have moose.
Yeah, we had some moose sausage.
From a neighbor
Oh,
gave it to
that
us.
was-
It was really good.
Yeah,
It's very rich.
did it taste gamey to you guys?
No,
'Cause-
he
It's very rich.
had been done as a sausage, so I don't know what spices were in it, but it was delicious.
It was
Okay.
very good.
Yeah, because like my experience with like moose is it like tastes somewhat kind of like, you can tell it's like a type of venison.
Right.
It's in the
Right.
deer family, but I found like the caribou that just tastes like straight beef to me. I was talking to somebody else today and they said that it can really just come down to if the animal was under a lot of stress or not
Exactly.
Okay.
when they shot it. So
Being a hunter,
Yeah.
yeah, it depends on time of year. There's a lot of factors that go into that. If the animal is very stressed out, as you just mentioned, yes, that adrenaline pumping through them can definitely make it gamey. So,
gotcha. So if you're going to be doing that, probably read it like bedtime story and
Try to make the kill as clean as possible.
quick, clean shot.
We've had elk before because that was what we could get in Arizona more.
Elk and deer. Yeah.
Elk and deer. Deer is a little more gamey, and elk was, generally speaking, elk was a little not as gamey, at least when we've had it. But you always have to add fat if you're going to do it as a ground.
Yeah.
Because
very lean animal.
it's a very, very lean animal.
Yeah.
As a society, we're used to a little bit
Too
more
much fat.
Yeah. I mean, they always talk about what is it, like the specialization. Everyone's got something they do really well. Well, cows get fat. That's their specialization.
Yes, it is. Yeah, ribeye, my favorite.
All right, and I think you guys, good idea who this comes in from. But how do your kids like it? Thanks,
The
Ian.
peanut gallery. That's our son. Both children love it.
My kids are fantastic. They absolutely love it here. My son is pretty much an avid hiker. So he is out constantly on trails, constantly moving. So he's really, really just ecstatic. He's an outdoorsman. Our daughter doesn't like hot. So she is very happy.
She doesn't do,
Very
and she's a skinny little bean. She really is.
Yes.
She's a
And
redhead. That son could not have been doing good
Well,
things.
she
No,
even got
no.
overheated one time in Eager. We had gone to a animal thing, and she hadn't eaten, didn't drink the water she should have, and she got heat exhaustion or something. It was, I was like freaked out, and she doesn't have enough body fat to like regulate any kind of temperatures.
But the kids love it. There's, if you're an outdoorsman, by any stretch, you're going to love it.
And she even enjoyed the hike we did with
Yes.
Jamin.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah, that was a fun little hike over on the Goldman Trail, because you just go straight up the valley and there's hardly like any up or down like climb
Yes.
to it at all.
Yes.
So I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, I am too. My son likes to go on these extreme hikes. He did the one from Alyeska to Eagle River.
Oh, the Crow Pass one?
Crow Pass,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did I tell you guys about my sister who kind of got abandoned? No, not abandoned. Okay, now I just said that. I have to explain it a little bit. Okay, so my sister and her husband, they were going on a hike, and it was cold and it was wet, and they could not get warm. And my older sister got hyperthermia. We were, my younger brother and I were going to go up, like meet them there, and then just walk back with them. And at a certain point, we realized, hey, I haven't run into him yet. Probably something's up.
Yeah.
So like we're hightailing it back to the head of the trail, and just as we're going up, like we see this helicopter just blasting up the valley. I was like, that's not great. It turns out, they were getting heloed out. So
yeah, you got to be prepared up here.
Gotta be ready. Gotta be
do.
prepared. So yes. If you're gonna go hiking, go with Ian. He knows what he's doing.
And Ian is learning from Eric, his cousin.
Yeah.
He does a lot of things with veterans.
Remedy Alpine. It's a nonprofit, so but yeah, I'm getting involved in it. So, and they do a lot of hiking, Wounded Warrior projects,
Gold
that
Star
nature.
hiking.
Gold Star Mountain is what they went on.
Right, but it was
last
Gold
week.
Star families too.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of military, and from that, our son now wants to join the military even more than he did before.
Yeah.
That I think proportionally, Alaska probably has more, like, for sure, more veterans.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also we rank pretty high in like active duty people
It's
as well.
an amazing place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it seems like everyone we talked to had been to Alaska and moved away, wanted to get back to Alaska.
Yeah, it's kind of the giant spring or elastic band that just kind of brings you back in.
Yeah.
All right, got a couple more questions here, and we'll continue on with our regularly scheduled programming. So got a question real quick here from Alan Gibson. Moving to Seward in a few weeks. Congratulations, taking a permanent RN position. How's the area? Have you guys spent any time down in Seward?
Not yet.
No,
Okay.
not yet. So unfortunately, we can't really speak to Seward,
Right.
but Alaska itself is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear good things about Seward.
Yeah, I'll answer a couple of these for you. A
Yeah.
couple questions about that, Alan. I actually have tried to purchase real estate down there before, and yeah, I could not get it, and that's after going in $75,000 over asking price, offering a $20,000 appraisal gap, and didn't even get a counter on it. So the housing situation down there is one of the most competitive in the entire state, and it's because there's just not a whole lot of options there. The town itself is beautiful, the area itself is beautiful, but there's just not a whole lot of development going on down there. And I mean, once you get boots on the ground there, definitely talk to city council members and get that going, because that's only going to get worse as time goes on here. But I mean, the town's absolutely gorgeous. First thing you need to do when you get there is go hop on one of those little day cruises they have and go tour some of the glaciers, or go to the Hardy Ice Field. That's a lot of fun. Their cross-country skiing trails, they're decent, but yeah, you have to be in cross-country skiing. That's kind of an acquired taste.
It's running on the snow.
It's running on the snow. That's all it is. At first when I got it, I thought it was actually going to be going faster than if I ran. And yeah, that's just not the case. Slightly disappointing. Yeah. It's like, this is nothing but work.
Yeah.
It's a great workout. Now look at the silver lining there.
Yeah, fair enough.
That is it. Now, we did have a question in here real quick. Let's see. Here we go. Question from Thomas. Do you have AC units?
No.
Okay.
Our house does not have an AC unit. It doesn't really get hot enough. At night, it cools down, and you can easily open windows, get that cool air in at night. And during the day, if it does get warm, close them, and it'll pretty much stay cool. We did purchase a small AC window unit simply because a few people have told us that it can get warm. It's only about a week, maybe 2 weeks, that it's a little bit warm. And for up here, anything above 70 seems to be rather warm.
It's amazing how quickly you become accustomed to a certain standard of living, and 70 starts feeling a little toasty.
And
Yes, it
we
does.
did that on the advice. His cousin, I know we've referred to his cousin quite a bit, has lived up here for how long? They've been up here for quite a while.
7 years.
7 years, and then he was stationed
7 or
here
9,
before
yeah.
that, and so we've been leaning on him quite a bit before.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamin was a great resource, but obviously my cousin that lives here was a great resource as well. So,
Yeah, I mean, if you've got those connections, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we bought the air conditioned unit on Eric's recommendation, but haven't had to use it this summer at all.
It's still in the box, brand new.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Yep.
All right, got a couple questions here. Let's talk a little bit about actually getting here. How did you guys go about actually preparing for the move? We talked about.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, because I know, super simple for, me, single, no kids. I pull up stakes and move somewhere. It's like a weekend kind of a thing.
Yeah,
it's a little more for you guys. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Michael did lots and lots and lots of research.
Yeah. So the biggest hiccup with driving up here, it's not the time of the year. That I thought that would be an issue, but it's really not the time of the year. It's traveling through a foreign country. So you have to cross the border twice, going into Canada and then once again exiting, going back into Alaska, or going into Alaska. So I did a lot of research on Canada crossings. I brought firearms through, and I did that was a whole can of worms. But honestly, because I was so prepared for that one, it went extremely smooth. There was no hiccup with that whatsoever.
And we brought lots of rounds of ammunition as well,
Yes.
and your reloading equipment, and
Yeah. And
so
we also brought cats and dogs, and we had to get them not only make sure their rabies was up to date, but they also have to have a health certificate within 30 days.
Yes.
So we had to make appointments right before we left, and hoping nothing was wrong with one of the animals. Otherwise, what do you do?
Yes.
Oh
So-
because you guys are because it's not like you're just at the border, test, go. Like you're having to drive to the border. So
Right.
Correct.
'Cause
Get
we were
that
going
ASAP. Okay.
From Phoenix,
And-
it was 2 or 3 days before we even got to the border. Well, when we went with my daughter, when
Right.
he went with the son,
I did it
it was
twice.
Yeah,
really
yeah.
fast. We took 10 days up. We had all the cats and dogs. We had to get out and do all of, walk
Oh,
the dogs.
yeah.
Cats, interesting traveling with cats.
I refuse to rent her car.
They actually did really, really well. We got them a big kennel cage thing that they could be in and stuff like that. But yes, it was interesting.
Well, no matter how much research you do, there's going to be some amount of a question mark, if you will, that you're just not going to be able to either prepare for or just be in the know of it happening first. So even though I did a ton of research, the first trip, the 10-day trip, I had some issues. We lost a trailer. Didn't lose it, but it came off the hitch. Blew 2 spare tires. Luckily, the spare tires are mounted in the very front tongue, and that took the brunt of it. So that was really cool. We stopped and got new tires right after that. We got up to the middle of nowhere, Jade City, and my trailer, my weight distribution hitch came apart, if you will. And I had to, luckily the people there were great, but because I had tools and they had a drill bit that I could borrow, I was able to fix it in a matter of about 1 hour.
Mhm.
So be prepared, but you can't prepare for everything. You just can't.
I mean, overall, compared to some stories we've heard, it was actually a fairly smooth
Easy.
trip. It
Yes.
really was. We were prepared.
Don't
we
drive
went
fast.
slow. The vehicle he was driving is a dually with a camper on top, towing a 20-foot trailer enclosed. So
A lot of weight.
Had a lot of weight going. So we went very slowly.
Yeah, I mean, especially that's like 100-mile stretch. When you're in Canada, you got 100 miles more to go to get to the U.S. border. I've been told that's like the worst
Oh, it was horrible.
section.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not going.
It was horrible.
25.
You're not
miles
going
an hour.
65.
No, 25 miles an hour sometimes was too fast.
Yeah.
Now that's according to my load. Had we had a single vehicle not towing anything, not a lot of stuff rattling around, we could have gone quicker, but I don't recommend it.
It's-
the potholes, the ice heaves,
Yeah. And you can't see those ice heaves until it's too late.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. The sun doesn't cast a shadow on them like you would think. So by the time you get there, especially slowing down 30,000 pounds, that doesn't happen right away.
No, you don't do that right on a dime. No.
No.
I had it easy with that trip. I just followed him.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
Walkie-talkies. Oh, the walkie-talkies.
yeah.
Walkie-talkies.
Two-way radios are really good, especially if you're in 2 different vehicles. However, the two-way radios are really nice because there was a lot of crosstalk from other folks. And I had the sense that had something happened where emergency, anything that I couldn't deal with, there was people out there that could probably hear us if I could hear them.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my one recommendation is, inexpensive two-way radios. Not a bad idea at all.
And you don't have cell reception through a lot of the way that we went through
Cassier
Canada.
Highway.
Yeah.
Cassier Highways.
There was
yeah.
nothing. There was no cell reception. There was no data. There was no nothing. So that was what we had.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to somebody else. As soon as I heard you all did that, I was like, man, that actually makes so much sense. Why haven't I thought of that? Yeah. Get a two-way radio, even if you're by yourself.
Yes.
Right.
Just to make sure, because you don't know what's going to happen out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like every time I've gone down that highway, something's busted. I've ended up on the side of the road. So
Yeah. It's that highway's brutal. I'm not going to lie to you. It's very rough, and it's these ice heaves. So they're constantly fixing it, but as they're fixing it, part of the problem is now you have the construction, and with that construction comes gravel and rocks. I mean, we have
Oh yes,
our
it was
windshield
interesting.
is needs to be
Shattered,
replaced.
Yeah, well, I was talking with somebody just a little bit ago, and they said the reason that it's in such ill repair right now, at least that last 100 miles, it's because the Canadian government can't really justify repairing it, even though the whole economy for the area kind of relies on thousands of Americans
Yes, it does.
going one way or the other. They can't justify it. So the former administration, they were going to allocate money to go and repair that section of the Canadians Road.
Okay.
The former administration obviously isn't here anymore, and the current one just decided, no, we're not doing that. So
Oh yeah, and it
That's-
really needs to be done. And even when you get over our border, that first part getting into Talk is still not that great.
Toke.
Mhm.
Toke.
Getting into Toke, yeah, it was a little bit rough
Yeah.
right there, but it does get better.
yeah, and the more you drive south, the better it gets. All right, got enough. Got a couple questions here real quick. Thomas, I'm just going to answer this real quick. He just said, I plan on taking the ferry. The main concern I would have right now with really taking the ferry, if you're wanting to just bypass going through Canada, there's really no way to do that right now. I was actually talking with the folks with the Alaska Marine Highway just a little bit ago. The main vessels with which they would go all the way from Bellingham up to Whittier or Valdez, those are out for the count right now. They're in the shop getting repaired, and they're in the process of crewing back up because they had a bit of a shortage past couple of years, and apparently you can't just snap a finger and put a crew back together with just all the requirements being what they are. So I'd say for the foreseeable future, plan on going through Canada at least in some way, because I think you can go to I think it's like Skagway or something like that.
Haynes was the
So
highest point we
that
saw.
Haynes- there.
When we went through, the same thing. The ferry was non-op. I mean, it operating, but not all the way to Whittier or Anchorage, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to, had we had to take the ferry, we still could not bypass Canada because Haynes, you still have to go through that last 100 miles
Yeah.
through Canada, and so
It's
that
like-
was
and now you're
not
just
helpful.
adding the hassle of boarding a ferry and
And the expense. It
Yeah.
is not cheap to do a
Yeah,
ferry.
Yeah.
because
that's
we
for sure.
looked into that as possibly doing it. It was like 2 or 3 times the cost of what it was to drive.
Easy.
To
Yeah.
drive. The other thing is, if you are even remotely thinking about doing this, please go get your passport now
Yep.
because it's taking forever. Our son still has not gotten his passport.
really.
January we
Still not
applied for
gotten
it.
it.
Still don't have it. It's now August. Still do not have his passport.
Wow.
His chin
This
was
is-
in the wrong spot.
That's really all it was.
Yep.
And they had the address wrong. We corrected that. They got it wrong. I
It
don't know
just-
how.
It just, yeah, it was a nightmare.
But
and
that
it
is
wasn't
good
the,
advice. Go get your passport now.
It was
even
in the
if you're
same
thinking of it.
envelope as our daughters, and we got our daughters, but haven't gotten our sons yet.
Yeah.
And they were both renewals.
Yeah.
So you're not even getting like the first passport. This is just a
Correct.
renewal. Man,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It's like
And we
was not
paid for
good.
it, they expedited and did it like we thought way far in advance. And no, if you were thinking at all, do it now.
Yeah.
okay, well that's not giving me great feelings because literally this Monday I went and applied for a passport and everything. And well, not applied, went for the renewal,
Mhm.
sent it in. They're like, oh yeah, you'll have this back in
Yeah. Anyways,
no time. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
We'll see about that. We'll s-
Yeah. And you
Well-
know, my daughters came in time, but my son still
Barely.
hasn't. So
barely in time.
there's no rhyme or reason to why things are.
And she had to have her picture taken again because she looks.
Look like a ghost.
Yeah. They couldn't find her features.
It wasn't that.
That's,
bad. Yeah.
That's not a good look, State Department. Someone's too white and you're not going to give them a passport. That's not a good look.
We know that you literally she had like a gray sweatshirt on and everything else, so
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
blended in the
It was
background.
kind of
Uh,
just
okay.
kind of white.
Okay. Okay. Got a question for Monica. If you had to do it all over again, would you have shipped your items and flown, or do the move just the same way?
I would have done it the same way.
I would do it the same way. And biggest reason was I've always wanted to drive the Alcan. That was one of them.
The bucket list.
And it was worth it doing it once. I'll be honest though, I don't want to do it again. Now I did do it once, and then I had to fly back and do it all over again. That was rather brutal. It's a beautiful drive. It is absolutely great, but it is extremely long from Phoenix because of the fires at the time. We had to drive through California, Oregon, Washington, and then take the far west route, the
Which
Caster
was 30.
Highway.
Highway 37.
Yeah. So because of that, Phoenix to Wasilla, where our house is, was 3,774 miles. And it doesn't sound like a lot numbers wise, but boy, you get 1,000 miles under your belt and you realize you're only a quarter of the way there just about. And it starts to really realize how far.
Yes.
It's
It's like going across the country a couple of times.
Yeah.
You realize how much you've bit off after that first
So,
day.
don't get me wrong. I would still do it the same way. If I had to do it again right now, I would probably drive. Shipping things here is not
It's
cheap.
extremely expensive. We looked into that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys remember any kind of like estimates on how much it would have costed to ship stuff?
It was gonna be like 15 to 20,000 to ship parts of our stuff, not even all of it, and some of it wouldn't fit. We decided instead to buy trailers so that we had something on the tail end. We're planning on selling one of them and keeping one of them.
Yeah.
So, because we had 3 trailers, one was really small. That was what I was towing. But 2 larger trailers, so we can sell one, recoup some money, and still have something to come out with it. If we had done the shipping, it's $20,000.
Yeah,
it's a little bit more expensive. We looked at a U-Haul vehicle. It was $10,000, just almost $10,000 just for the rental, not fuel, not your insurance, nothing.
Yeah.
So we looked at we weighed that against a trailer. It's like, well, I can do $10,000 and just get my stuff here, but at the same time, that $10,000 is just now gone. Whereas when we bought the trailer for $14,000, I have that trailer at the end here, so I could even sell that for $4,000 and still break even.
Oh, easily.
Well,
yeah,
we won't sell
I
for
bet.
4,000.
I mean,
Go for at least.
Yeah. I don't want to be too greedy. You could probably make a profit on it, legit. Like,
that's what everybody keeps telling me. Things up here are a little more expensive.
Yes, they are more expensive.
But I would still do it the same way. Seeing the country I like seeing things. I don't mind flying, but you kind of miss a lot.
Yeah.
The drive, like I said, was absolutely beautiful. The people all the way were friendly. Some of the nicest people we met were in Canada, but here in Alaska, California, Oregon, and Washington, not so much.
We just kind of zipped through there because we do that.
Not picking on them.
That's kind of par for the course. Yeah.
We couldn't believe Seattle when we went through it because we had been there not quite 15 years ago. It was a gorgeous city, and it was
a little beat up.
It's
just a tad.
And the traffic is just
the traffic is horrible. There's graffiti everywhere, and we didn't even get off the freeway. Yeah. I mean, that was just down.
It's a beautiful place. It really is. But anyway,
it was sad to see how far it had degraded from when we had visited before.
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm not going to say that. Okay, moving on. moving on.
Yeah, we don't want to open a can of worms here.
Yeah, I'll try to avoid that. All right, real quick from Thomas. I know the answer to this one, but did you guys have any issues with finding employment?
My husband is already retired, but we are looking for him to do something.
Yeah.
to help out. I was fortunate enough to be able to take my teaching job with me. I work virtually, and they allowed me to move up here. So I'm still was able to keep my job that I had.
Now, my son, no problem. He's found jobs.
Lots of jobs.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
he applied and was hired right away, and
Yeah.
then
Now, it
was
also depends on what kind of job I think you're looking for, because if you are a professional and the demand is here, obviously you're going to find it. But, you know,
you're going to make a
just
good
have-
living with a blue collar,
yeah, blue collar jobs here are
are
pretty
well
amazing.
paid
Make a
and
killing,
in,
yeah.
in need, very much in need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is okay, so if you are a contractor right now, but more importantly, you're like a businessman who happens to be a contractor, you could make a killing in
Oh,
Alaska
yeah.
just because
Yeah.
there aren't enough contractors to really
Mhm.
keep up with everything. And if you can come up and have enough people where you're actually keeping up with all the demand, and you're also communicating really well with everyone, like you're going to just retire in 5 years. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Mechanics make good
Mechanics.
money.
oh yeah.
there's so if and so much right now we've told people that blue collar is bad. Blue collar is great. Are you kidding me? You can make a
Well, it's
good
not-
living.
It's not bad. It's just our
No.
country has put such a focus on college education, and there's nothing wrong with that. But let's face it, we have a lot of college people that can't really find the jobs that they need.
Right.
Yeah.
And-
Well, let me
I think trade schools are great, and I'm a teacher.
they are. They are.
I'm the first in my family to get a college degree, and so yes, I think college is a great thing. But I mean, there's so many other jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll speak a little bit to that. Like, I don't talk about this very much because it's pretty much completely irrelevant. But I have, an undergraduate degree. I've got 2 graduate degrees. One from a presidential school over at Texas A&M, like very leveled up on the education. Got here to Alaska, could not find a dadgum job.
There you go.
So I'm telling you, there's a certain point where the diminishing return for education, and I found that.
There you go.
Well,
yeah.
you move to Alaska, and there's not as many white collar jobs.
There really isn't. And I mean, we could definitely get off on a tangent here, but
Yes.
yes, if you have hard skills, this is going to be the place for you.
Mhm.
And there's going to be a lot of transferring over. If you're just coming fresh out of grad school, you better get ready to serve some tables for a little while. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Unless you
Yeah.
get it, and ideally getting a job lined up before you come.
Yes.
If you can.
Yes.
There's I haven't experienced this myself, but we've heard from a lot of different folks that, if you don't live here already, they just don't want to talk to you.
Well, they had
They
Anchorage,
don't want to invest in you. Let's put it that way.
Mm.
So,
Anchorage Library had hired the head of library, and they had it lined up twice, and the person said, nope, never mind, I don't want to move. And that's part of where businesses up here are thinking of, are you really going to do it? Are you really going to step off and do it? Or not?
right. They don't want to commit to something that's not solid.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I see it both ways. Because I mean, I've been the business owner where it's like you're taking a bit of a gamble on someone if
Sure,
they're going to do it, and also I've had like a lot of people in the lower 48 where this is the dream, this is what they want to do, and they can't get anyone to give them the time of day, and it's like this would be like solid acquisition for the state, guys. We need to get this.
There you go.
We need to get this
Yeah.
person on our team. What are we doing? But
Right.
so I can see it from both directions, but yeah, I don't know. I need to have someone on from they have like a labor occupational
Ooh, that would be a good one.
department.
That would
Yeah.
actually be
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah, I want to have someone on from there, but government
Yeah.
bureaucracy being what it is, I'm still working the channels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, coming in from Casey Turner here. We've been looking at school supply lists there to compare to where we live. One of the things they noted was pretty much personal school supplies are shared, which is awesome. Is that a common theme? So, Kerry, I don't know. Do you guys homeschool or?
Okay, so I can speak to that if I think I know what it's talking about as far as what it was in Arizona. I haven't been involved in public schools up here, so I'm not really sure. Like the teacher will probably ask for tissue and hand sanitizer and pencils and things like that, and those might be kept in common. That was what we did in Arizona. And I would think that would be similar here. So, people that can't afford give more, but you're still going to have some that are going to be
And
personal supplies.
Our daughter is starting school next week up here, so
We're
I'm
not
sure
sure
we're going to
yet.
expect some of that.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you about that. Like, what's been y'all's impressions so far of the school system up here?
Well, we don't have a lot of experience with it yet. My daughter starts next week, but their communication seems to be pretty good. When I've asked something of the school, I have been contacting the counselor. He took his time to sit with us, so the communication is very good. School itself, we'll see. We're getting there.
Yeah, that's about the best we can do for school right at the moment. All right, let's go and take a look here. Another quick question I had, just kind of a ballpark idea. Do you guys know how much it costs to actually move up here? And keep in mind that's family of 4 with stuff, because you guys had not one run, you had 2, because then Mike had to run down, grab everything.
It probably cost us between 20 and 30,000 when all said and done. But part of that was trailers that we will be able to recoup, at least one sell to recoup some of that cost. But no, it's not a cheap. It's not cheap.
No, so I highly recommend make sure this is what you want to do. Make the trips are expensive here. I'm not going to lie to you, but make these trips up here and come in the dead of winter. If you think that's going to be a problem for you, the lack of sunlight, the cold, the snow, if you think that's going to be a problem, invest in a trip here, because turning around and undoing everything is going to really cost.
Yes.
The one thing that kind of shocked me, I don't know if shock's the right word, but the cost of fuel in the remote areas of Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
We were looking at $2.20 a liter. Multiply it by almost 4, so $8 a gallon for fuel. And we had 3 vehicles. That the best vehicle was hers, getting 25 miles per gallon. Mine got 9.
Because it was towing so much.
Yeah.
My son, I think his truck got about 10. So it adds up. I mean, depending on how far you are driving. I thought for sure $5 a gallon was a good estimate when I started that trip. And for all intents and purposes, it wasn't a bad guess, but that's exactly what it was a guess, simply because, like I said, up in Canada, $8 a gallon, roughly.
Especially in those really remote areas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I totally had the gallon to liter conversion off in my head. So I was just thinking it was double, but no, that's
it's almost 4.
Okay.
Almost 4.
It's like your boy would have been broke in Canada.
Yeah.
All right. Outstanding. All right. So we've kind of touched a little bit on this already, but what are kind of your impressions so far of the people you guys have met in Alaska so far?
We love them.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't met a person that we don't like. People have been very friendly. It feels much more like a small town, even though Wasilla is larger, especially because you're not thinking about just Wasilla, because you're thinking of all the people down KGB. You're talking about the Palmer area. You're talking about Fishhook. You're talking about Houston and all of those areas. So in that way, it's very similar to Sholo.
Where we were from.
Where we were last most. And that there's a lot of outlying areas that will feed into Sholo.
And same thing here.
Same thing here. You have quite a few outlying areas feeding into Wasilla and to Anchorage, depending. There are several people that commute in.
The people here, I think they're friendly. we came from the last stop was Phoenix. Phoenix people are very friendly until they get behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah.
Then that is
Every man for themselves.
Yeah. So
Just that little bit of anonymity from like having that.
the heat got to their brain. I
He
guess.
gets to the brain, get a little bit of glass between us, and there's nothing they won't do.
No offense to
Well,
the Phoenix
And
people
I
there.
think that as overall, we seem to have that more anonymity, and that our social skills have gone down as a country, that we need to like work on those social skills of we can have a conversation and we don't have to agree, but it's okay.
But yeah, everybody, we haven't run across anybody that's the crotchety old man or
No.
anything. We've met quite a few very nice people.
Yeah.
So,
We've only been up here till like 2 months, so not that long.
yeah.
So still plenty of time to find that old crotchety person.
There it is. There it is. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'm that guy.
They are there, yeah. Like I was talking with my neighbor just a little bit ago, and he said, I'm so happy to see you moving in here. We've had like kind of hit or miss with the people who've been here. It used to be we had like an old guy who was here, and like they had like some ATVs that would come in every now and then, and like just kind of later at night. And apparently instead of just like rolling over and going back to sleep, he would get up, like go out there, cuss everyone out, and like start shooting up into the air.
Oh, man.
It's like, dude, straight Yosemite Sam over here, man. Chill. So yeah, luckily that element's getting pushed further and further in a different direction.
Yeah.
All right. So good. Another question real quick with the Alcan from Paul Adams. Does credit card work in Canada, or did you have to have cash?
We were able to use our credit card. There is a conversion rate that your credit card company will charge, but yes, you could use your credit card.
It's not an exorbitant amount. It really wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, after paying for $8 for
Yeah,
gas.
right. Yeah.
It's about 5 to
So-
10%, depending on what it is. And, you go through Canada as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Second trip was very fast.
Yeah.
Second trip was 4 days.
Yeah, well, that's because they never slept.
Never slept. I mean, you've seen everything already before, so
Right.
it's really
They
nothing that was going to surprise you.
They saw a lot more wildlife as a
Yeah.
result of
Driving
going
through,
through
the
more
night.
at night. We didn't see as much when the first time we went through. I mean, we saw some, but not near as
Yeah.
much as they did.
Oh yeah. The wee hours, that's where you see most of that wildlife.
Yeah. So for those of you who are nature lovers, that's take note.
Yeah, but yeah, credit card, no problem.
Perfect. All right. So folks, we are going to be kind of wrapping up here in just a little bit. So I'm going to give you kind of one of your final calls here. We're probably going to be about 10, 15 minutes here. So if you have any other thoughts, questions, concerns about moving to Alaska, and you want to ask some folks who have recently moved up from Arizona, then this is going to be your opportunity to do it. But let me go ahead and ask you guys this real quick. So now that you're here, what are some things y'all have kind of enjoyed doing so far? And I mean, understand you've been pretty engaged with projects and everything else around the house.
Yeah.
So-
we bought a brand new house. but,
Yeah. So maybe I should adjust that question a little bit and say, because I mean, first couple months you're pretty engaged with just getting moved in and settled.
Yes.
Right.
So
We've gone on hikes.
Right.
I really liked that. We went to the Scottish Festival in Palmer.
That was fun.
That was
they already had that.
fantastic. That was
Missed it.
absolutely
Yes, you did miss
fantastic.
it.
The Irish one's coming up this weekend.
It's in downtown.
Yeah, it's in Anchorage.
it's in Anchorage.
Yeah, the Irish one's coming up, but the festivals and stuff that's
was
that's
fun.
fun.
Did
That's
lots
fun.
of shopping, of course.
Well, yeah.
I got a kilt. So did my son.
Yeah. Anyway, but we are, and well, I'm an outdoorsman. I like being outside. I'm hardly ever in the house. So the summertime has been fantastic up here. Not only hiking, but just I do a lot of woodworking in the garage. And it's kind of interesting that, you start working on something, and I think we discussed this before, start working on something, all of a sudden it's, whoa, it's 10 o'clock at night.
So easy to do.
It is very
And it's-
easy to do.
And
right
you're
now.
not even tired because your body's natural state of wanting to be asleep when the sun goes down. So it's been an interesting getting used to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But being outside is definitely, if that's what you like to do, this is the place. Holy moly.
Yeah, it's like Alaska's great for those projects. Not so great for getting to sleep sometimes, but great for those projects.
Blackout shades. That's
They're
the
wonderful.
key. Get those right away.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
The first night we didn't have them. It was very, 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 very bright.
I think it was the first 2 nights we didn't have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough sleeping.
Oof. Yeah, because I mean, at that point, I mean, they've got like those little things. What are they called?
Sleep
Like,
masks?
yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Sleep masks. But
I can't do that.
yeah, and then like I feel like they just get hot on your face
I've-
for the night too.
Or they end up around your neck like
Yeah. Wake up like they done killed me.
yeah.
All right. What are some things that you guys are planning to do like once settled in and we can focus just on like living at that point? So what are some things you guys are wanting to get into?
Fishing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fishing, hunting for sure. Got to wait a year. Fishing I can do now. That's not a problem. Hunting, unless I want to pay out of state fees, I got to wait. But I'm gonna start helping with a group called Remedy Alpine. They are a nonprofit, but
It helps
Um,
veterans and
they're the
People
veterans
in
group,
the
and they do so. They do a lot of fundraising and stuff. So I'm going to be a little bit proactive in that. There's another group up here, the
98 fund.
98 Fund, that I'm going to also try to be a little more active in. I'm retired. Yeah, I'm a little young. I'd like to still earn some money somewhere, but that's not at the top of my list.
He doesn't do well when he's at home for extended periods of time. It's good for him to get out.
All right, there's our dirty secret.
Well, honey,
He starts breaking stuff so he can fix it.
basically,
Wow, that's okay. We're airing our laundry, but I like to. I like to shoot. We like to shoot. We just went shooting the other day. Nice range. Didn't
It was
cost anything. It was free. Really nice range. People there were very cooperative. There was another group shooting, and anytime we had to go down range, we communicated really well. Extremely cooperative, and I mean, you have to be at a shooting range, but
Mhm.
but no, no dirty looks, no nothing. Anytime we had to go down range, they did. We just notified them. So
it was.
Very good
It
experience.
wasn't very crowded when we went. We went
Well,
early
that's true.
Sunday morning, so it wasn't
That's
very crowded.
Yeah.
that's true.
Was that the gun range down in Palmer or where's that?
Yes.
Oh,
Out
okay.
Palmer,
Yeah. I know
Mod Road.
know exactly
Yeah.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty nice range actually.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
I mean, the thing that really impresses me about that one is it's not really like regulated, if that makes any sense. Like you don't have anyone
Right.
out there like keeping the peace. No, it's just
Right.
It's just
everyone's just
very
behaving
respectful.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there are a list of rules that are posted there,
Mhm.
and you can get fined for breaking those rules. Now I don't know how they
Well,
enforce that.
Yeah. The lifeguard's not on duty.
Right.
The
Exactly.
rules are posted.
And now
Yes.
it does say one of the rules on there is that if there's not a range master, somebody should take that role. Now, I think most people, I don't know if that's a good way to put
Common
it, but I think a
sense is
lot
not
of people
common.
are pretty much, they don't want to have problems.
Yeah.
So they're willing to cooperate in that aspect.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm at a range and someone tells me to like chill for a little bit, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like, it's really not historically where I want to go have fights with people, arguments.
That's not a good place to have a fight.
No,
Not a good place to argue. So
right.
yeah, once I think about it, yeah, some of my most peaceful times are actually at the gun range. So
Everyone gets along really well with gun range.
Everyone gets along really
Everybody's
well.
armed, right?
It's amazing how that works.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got one more question here. For those of you in the and live stream world. If you have any questions or any comments, anything like that, this is going to be kind of your last call here. So last question I have, would y'all say Alaska has lived up to your expectations up to this point?
Yes,
I
and
think
beyond.
it's exceeded it.
Yeah, yes, and beyond.
It's the natural beauty of this state. It should just be a national park, the entire state, but then nobody would be able to live in it. So it's definitely exceeded expectations. The people are friendly. The cost of living was nowhere near what I expected, because you hear
But it
everybody
is
say
expensive.
that
Yes.
it is expensive, and don't get me wrong, it is, but it's gasoline is actually cheaper here than in Arizona.
Really?
So yes, so now gas is also obviously a volatile market,
Right.
and it fluctuates in a lot of different areas, differently.
Right.
What affects Texas may not affect us up here. So, that's maybe not the most fair comparison, but it is true that it is cheaper here than in Arizona.
Interesting.
When I went to Phoenix the last time, it was the same price.
Yeah.
Just so
Well,
you know.
there you go. There you go.
It rotates.
Yeah.
Things are more expensive, but it's also getting more expensive everywhere. So when I was in Phoenix last, I didn't go buy a head of lettuce. So I don't know how much that is right now. I know up here it's like $250 for a head of iceberg.
And produce was the one thing that kind of got to us, but we had to get used to is when you buy produce, you have to pretty much use it quickly. It's already traveled quite a distance to get here. And we found that there's, even at the supermarket, some of it can be not fresh.
A little sus. Yeah.
Yeah, you do
It's
need to check
already
your produce.
on its way out. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Best case scenario, the produce has already had like half of its shelf life used just
Right.
getting to the store.
There are
Best
some
case.
local ones though. There's potatoes that are local right now, at least. And there's a hot house in Anchorage that seems to put some stuff up here. So I've seen a couple of those.
Yeah.
And that's the one I buy when I can because it's going to be the freshest.
Right.
Yeah, and coming from the Phoenix area where you can go right outside your front door and pick a fresh citrus, and that doesn't happen here. However, apples, you like apples, boy, they're everywhere.
Yeah. Oh.
We planted some.
Planted some trees,
Yeah,
and he's already growing seeds.
yeah.
All right. Quick question here from Monica. What are gas prices at the moment?
About $4.29.
Yeah. I've seen some for like $4.49, just kind of depending where you're at.
Depending on
Anchorage
what
is
you go
more
to.
expensive. I do
Yeah.
know that. But my truck's a diesel, and diesel is still under $4.
And it's
Not a lot, but it is under $4.
Yeah.
it's cheaper. It's cheaper to buy diesel up here than it is
Right now.
regular gas
Yeah.
at the moment.
That's why we drove my truck.
That's
So.
that's where it's at.
And gas prices do fluctuate from area too. Like I said, Anchorage, I took her to the airport. She had to fly back to Phoenix, and I figured, I'll just fill up down in Anchorage. It's got to be cheaper. That was the wrong move.
Not necessarily. Yeah.
It was about 40 cents more a gallon. It was pretty significantly more.
Yeah. I mean, so here's the thing. There's no sales tax in Anchorage, but sometimes their cost of goods just is higher
Okay.
just because.
Demand is maybe higher because of more people.
That might be it.
Yeah.
That might be it. But yeah, it's just out here in the valley. I've noticed like these small little gas stations, like more or less in the neighborhood areas, not super close to the highway.
Yeah.
Those tend to be a little bit better. I saw like a 409
Oh.
like over
Hey.
on, I think it was the gas station on Selden. So
We'll have to go
Okay.
back there.
Yeah.
Sultan
Okay.
and Church.
yep. So just get away from the highway, and that does you
Yeah.
a whole lot of good.
Fair enough.
Well, I said I had one more question, but I guess that was a lie. This is the final question. So
Fair enough.
so we always give people like the pros and cons list, just because I mean there's
Sure.
good things, there's bad things about living anywhere, and we want to make sure we are really representative of kind of the negatives and the positives. So what for you guys has been some of the best positives and some of the biggest negatives. And I think we've already touched on some
We
of
touched
these.
on some of this. The sunlight it's a positive, but it's also a negative. Positive because I can get a lot of work done.
Yes.
However, it's a negative for the sleep.
Yes.
So it's a pro and a con.
It'll be the
Um,
opposite when winter comes because it'll be harder to get
Right.
up because you want to hibernate like the bear.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wasilla specifically, and we touched on this as well, the businesses that are sporadically placed, that took a little bit getting used to. I don't know if I'm even used to it yet, but
I don't have
takes
a problem
little bit
with
getting
it at
used.
all.
I don't have a problem with it, but getting used to it, I'm not used to that.
Yeah, and they're probably going to be going away from that.
Okay, that's good to know.
Well, probably just moving forward, just because Wasilla's getting to like a certain phase of its development as a town where
Right.
we can't just do this free
Right.
for all Wild West.
There you go.
Well, it's becoming
Have a
more
mechanic
Um,
shop right in the middle of a residential neighborhood
so
and
stuff
it's getting
anymore.
more established.
Yeah.
And then Wasilla specifically, one thing I noticed too is that time of day, Parks Highway can be pretty darn crowded.
Yes.
That's the main thoroughfare, from Anchorage and so
and
forth.
it's,
So we kind of time things now. There's
Yes.
certain times I don't want to go to the store because that highway is pretty packed.
well, and it's kind of if in the lower 48 you have bedroom communities. Like Lancaster was a bedroom community for downtown Los Angeles kind of thing, and that was how it developed. And so it seems like Wasilla and Palmer and some of the areas out here are becoming those bedroom communities to get into Anchorage.
And there's really only one way to go to get there.
Yeah, and I did have the borough director on here a couple weeks ago, kind of talking about the development and everything.
Mhm.
And what they're looking at right now is creating the corridor, bypassing Wasilla altogether, so
Ooh.
people aren't having to go
Yeah.
through downtown Wasilla,
Good
or
and bad to that.
they're looking at going and installing the bridge that's going to connect like Point Mac to Anchorage,
Yeah.
which
We've heard that
I
that
think-
might be difficult because of not finding bedrock.
possibly, but I mean, I want to say there's probably an engineering solution out there.
I'm
Right.
sure
I mean,
there is.
I'm thinking about like what was it, like Key West, like
That's
the
true.
miles and miles just
Yes,
straight across ocean.
is.
So
Yeah.
there's got to be some way to do it, but they were talking and looking at the numbers where you could either put in a bridge
Hmm.
and you're going to get a town out of it,
Oh yeah.
and all the
Mhm.
ensuing
Oh, yes.
revenue and everything, or you could put in the highway for the same price and you're
It's not going to benefit.
going to have to still maintain it and everything
Right.
the same amount without the benefit of the town.
Well,
So,
Mhm.
and putting in a bypass, if you will, the one issue that I've seen is some towns that have done that. They're tired of the semi traffic. They're tired of traffic. Period. They want to bypass their town. It's been bypassed, and the town their revenue's gone down because people are now, instead of stopping, I'm thirsty, I want to stop, or snacks, whatever,
Right.
They just kind of flying right through. So
Think
that's
of,
kind of a catch-22.
The movie
Yeah.
Cars. I know it's ironic, but the movie Cars. And when that Highway 10 went through, it made a huge difference to a lot of those towns.
I-40.
I-40, sorry.
There you go.
I-40. Sorry.
Bypassed, 66.
Sorry, wrong highway.
Wrong cartoon.
very
Ah.
very up to date on all your highways. So
Yes, he is.
Driven them many times. So.
gotcha. Yeah.
So cons just sunlight, and then it'll be dark in the winter. I mean, as far as the climate wise, because we lived in the mountains for so long, I'm not really that worried about
We're
it
used to
as far as
snow.
the cold
Yeah.
and snow. Our neighbors are from South Dakota, and they said the winters are milder here.
They moved here because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sometimes we really do get like an undeserved, like we become the undeserved standard of like winter.
Well, and
Time.
it's not so much in the Anchorage, Wasilla, all of this area because it's so close to still a big body of salt water. It stays fairly temperate.
Right. Yeah, we go to Fairbanks and -50, and that's
Different.
Yeah, no.
No offense, Fairbanks.
Once you start stepping outside and it's like -50, like, okay, your lungs never freeze, but they certainly dry out like that.
Oh yeah.
And it can be dangerous,
Mhm.
for your lungs, at that temperature. So
Yeah,
I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, well, in Fairbanks, what they'll do, even if this is what I've been told, even if they're just going to the store for something, they still bundle up all the way, because if you get into a wreck and like become
Oh, yeah.
unconscious
Yeah.
and it's like -30, -50 out, you're on borrowed time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
give
Well,
yourself a chance.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
Boy Scout motto.
That's it. All right, one more comment here from the comment section. Coming in from Mr. Stephen Blackshear. Wonder if there are jobs on military posts for retired military members. There definitely are. And, that's kind of the good thing about Alaska. So much of the job openings are also going to be related to the local or the federal or state government. So you're also going to have a preference of hiring there as well. So lots of good options for you.
A lot of military up here.
Yep.
A lot. Retired
Yes.
and active.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, guys, I do really appreciate you coming on here and kind of sharing your perspective and kind of letting everyone in on the secrets of moving to Alaska at this point. So
Right.
I do want to thank you for that and kind of commend you for stepping out and doing it. I meet a lot of people who say that they're going to do it, and it's like, okay, we'll see. And very few make it happen. So I got to commend you guys for that. And that's I've never heard of anyone having to make that trip twice. So
Yeah. I don't wish that on anybody.
No,
That's for
not
sure.
at all. Not at all.
Yeah, that's not gonna make the highlight reel for your life, I'm sure.
Well, it would if we do a pro and con list. I
There
guess.
we go. There we go. At least the top 10. At least the top 10. But yeah, thanks again very much for joining us. Everyone else, thanks for joining us as well. If you do have any questions, concerns, comments, anything like that, then certainly feel free to drop it down in the comments section of the video once it's on YouTube, and let me know if you have any questions later on, and we'll see you later.
Bye.